on, Nick. This is on you. Yeah.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another toy chat.
Let's talk about Spawn Kickstarter. Look at his face. Let's
Brilliant.
talk about the Spawn. He's frozen.
Not even frozen. I'm just doing it to mess with you guys.
I know. Anyway, so the Spawn Kickstarter. We did kind of cover it last time, but I think it's a really good time for us to do it. I think both of you were involved in the Kickstarter as well. I think we all kind of knew what we wanted when we went for it. And he's since obviously, if we don't count the last one, he's done 2 new updates. And I think it'd be really nice for us to kind of talk about each update separately, and then just how much of a fuck up Todd McFarlane has become.
So without specifying what we're going to say, he's completely fucked it up. But please, everyone, say what you think.
Yeah.
He's totally fucked it up.
I mean, some people might not think that it's been completely fucked up, and everyone's entitled to an opinion, even if it is wrong. So me and Bruno, me and you had a bit of a chat about this separately, and I feel like I kind of dodged a bullet a bit here by not paying for my Kickstarter. And most Kickstarters give you a chance to do that at a later date. Like if you drop off for some reason, they'll send the backer kit out for you, and you can pay for it a bit later. But it seems like from Todd's campaign, that's it. He was like, "No, fuck you, Dean, you're out." Like, I'm not getting any updates or anything now.
You're the lucky bastard then.
Yeah. I do feel like Huh?
You're not missing much if you're not getting the updates, because...
I'm following them online because literally every time a new update comes on, my Facebook goes mad.
Yeah, everyone's like, how can he do this?
Yeah.
No. Well, look, so very quickly, the very first update that we were going to talk about is when he went with solid torso.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, I think everybody's kind of seen the pictures of it, solid torso. Like, how the fuck is anybody going to do a Spawn pose? Like,
yeah.
What I find strange is that the entire torso is twisted one way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can do an articulated body with a silicon skin, the way that Sentoys did Hellboy.
Or the way that this was meant to be originally.
Sentoys did Kiri from Burami. Burami! Sorry.
No, never apologize.
Spelled blame, but it's pronounced Buram! Sentoys did Buram, they did it with Hellboy. They're going to do it with Ape Sapien. You can do an articulated torso with a ratchet in it, and it works really well. But I think Todd, it's new technology to Todd. Articulation's not something he's really that good with. I mean, I think the last time they did something like that was the Sleepy Hollow Headless Horseman back in about 1999. That had like an internal articulation in the legs with like a silicon skin. Although to be fair, that has aged really badly. If anyone's got that Sleepy Hollow figure of the Headless Horseman, have a look at his legs because it's just like turned to sludge.
Yeah, the skin
can be done.
The skin's broken on all of those that I've seen in the last few years. Like
yeah. I bought one off eBay, and literally I couldn't take him off the horse. His legs had melted into the horse, which in a weird way made some kind of awesome nightmare horror fuel, but it was crap as a replica of the character from the movie. But it can be done. An internal armature with a silicon skin, it can be done. But, Todd, it's new tech to Todd, and he doesn't really want to do it. But what I find strange is they've gone with that same stretched sculpt, and it's like our mate Mike Strick said. Basically, they've sculpted Spawn in a pose, and they're now propping it up so that he's kind of got articulation.
Yeah.
But if you look at the Spawn figures from about 2006, 2007 onwards, they're all like that. It was like a statue, but molded in separate parts. So it's like, oh, I can turn his wrist.
Great. So handy.
Yeah.
Much action.
So handy.
I see what I deliberately did there.
These great figures with 4 points of articulation.
Sorry, what was that?
I was just saying it's literally there's no point in the articulation, at all. And
There's no points of articulation.
There isn't, no. Over there, I can't articulate.
Neither can the new Spawn figure.
Hey!
Ding.
Savage
Yeah,
burn.
but the original stuff that I saw, which was why I jumped on the campaign originally, he had that silicone skin over a.
He did.
So why have they now gone back to something different?
That's what I don't know, and so I'm kind of with you. That's really why I backed it. Even I remember seeing the twisted torso, but I was like, you know what, fuck it, it sucks. But you can, if it has enough articulation, you can still do enough so that you can move the arms and put it in certain pieces. Like if you look at the Storm collectibles, the way they work internally, if it was something like that, even if the torso was twisted, you could still technically like move it and put it into like some kind of position. But really the position that I wish that you could almost do with him, which you I don't think you will, which is like the one way he's like crouched in, you know, and Spawn 1 kind of comic. You can't do that one with this. And it's like, how disappointing after, you know, everything he said in that Kickstarter, in that first, like, those first...
That launch video, yeah.
Yeah.
It was
and
all, you know, it was all bullshit. He's slowly going to rein it back and take all the articulation out of it, and it'll be another figurine. It'll be like that. They made that wicked figure of Spawn from, I think it was like the cover of issue 14 or 15 or 16 or something, and it was him in the earlier costume without all of the big spiky armored gauntlet-y big flared leg shit, and it was lovely. But it was just like a statue. And I think that's what he's going to do with this. He's gently going to reel it back and back to the point where it's just a figurine. Which sucks, because the one thing everyone wants is like a super articulated Spawn figure. You know, people want like a Marvel Legends, like a Revoltech Spawn figure.
Oh, a Revoltech Spawn figure.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
How good would that? That'd be so good.
You know, because then you can get the extreme poses, which, you know, Greg Capullo was drawing from like issue 35 onwards. You know, you want extreme poses. You don't want Spawn to just be stood there like you've literally taken him out of the packet and plonked him on the shelf. And he's just straight up and down like a statue.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing that I don't understand. Like, from me, I've always known Todd's, like, issue 300 of Spider-Man. Who remembers that cover with like Spidey completely fucked? Like his leg is like over his shoulder, kind of.
Oh yeah.
So this motherfucker obviously likes articulation, but he has no intention of putting it in his figures. Like you cannot replicate those same poses with his figures, and it just doesn't seem to add up. It's like, dude, are you gonna sell us a figurine for every single pose? Is that what you want to do?
What I find weird, that like the toys that he was making back in like 1998 are more posable than a lot of stuff that's coming out now.
That's the one.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's. I feel like articulation is going backwards on quite a lot of toy lines at the moment, like, which is really weird. Because if I think about the 1/18 scale like army figures I used to have when I was a kid, I used to be able to get them doing really good poses, like sniping, laying down with their legs out. You know that classic toy of the guy laying forward that used to move in the sack? Yeah.
Yeah,
used to be able to do that.
Do you mean Spider-Man?
Huh?
Do you mean Spider-Man with a rifle?
Yes, I did actually have that as well when I was. Like, I bought it about 5 years ago, and it fell apart. It was awesome.
It's so awesome. It is so completely incorrect for Spider-Man's character. It's beautiful.
Yeah, but yeah, like you look at figures now, and you can't. A lot of the. So actually, yeah, shameless plug for Joy Toys. As you know, I've got into them quite heavily recently. But the articulation on those is, and also the acid rain figures.
Oh yeah. Fantastic.
So,
they're really good.
They're that big, and they've got double jointed elbows, knees. Like, I mean, Jesus, what's this? Oh, here we go. Yeah, so
Jesus.
Well, no, I mean, look at this, man. It's a
I don't know why I'm getting close to the screen. Hold it close to the camera, dude. I can see it better now.
I was holding it up to my screen and then realised no one could actually see it.
Help the guy jump.
Those are...
I think my point is basically there's no excuse for a 1/6 or even 1/12 figure not
No.
to have the same posability as a 1/18 scale figure.
I love how the fact that you actually have a Spawn picture right behind you for the movie with Michael J. White as Spawn, by the way. Great Spawn, great actor, massively
movie
underrated.
rocks.
That is the soundtrack, and I had to buy it as soon as they officially released it because it's one of the greatest soundtracks ever, in my opinion.
Yeah. I honestly
Yes.
think Spawn and The Crow.
Oh,
You
Got
know,
that as well. Yeah.
one of the
love The
best
Crow.
soundtracks of all time.
So
I mean,
Mezco needs to release a Crow, man.
Yeah, they do. I guarantee you, like, whatever they do will be better than that Diamond Select figure.
Oh,
Yeah.
he looks like a fake wrestler. Not even a real wrestler. He looks like a fake wrestler.
It looks like
it looks like a bad Undertaker cosplay.
really bad.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's terrible. I really liked the Hot Toys Spawn, and then
Spawn? Hot Toy
What?
Spawn?
Hot
Toys
Toy.
Spawn?
No, sorry, Crow. Yeah.
Oh, I was
And
like,
then I never
hello.
bought one. Bizarrely, you've got one, haven't you, Nick?
I do. I mean, what's nuts is like figures like the Crow from Hot Toys, because it's not what is considered a mainstream movie now. Like eventually, you'll be able to pick them up for less than retail. I got the exclusive version with the weather vane for about 120 quid posted.
What?
You know,
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
now I'm
Jesus.
working again. I'm going to set up an eBay alert for Hot Toys Crow. I
Dibs.
feel like I'm something got now.
Like, holy shit, that's actually really... And the head sculpt on that looks really fucking good
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
a good sculpt.
I would take you into my collection room to see it, but I'll lose the Wi-Fi, and then we'll get that 3-second lag, and it'll again look like I'm in a badly dubbed movie.
Yeah, well, I think when Sam edits this... Hey, Sam, thanks for editing this. By the way. He'll just pop it in the video.
Thanks, Sam, for watching all of the absolute rubbish that we say and editing out a lot of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's
This video is going to be like 30 seconds long at the end of editing.
Yeah, fuck all to do with
For Kickstarter, it's shite. Thank you very much.
What
Can
were
we get
talking
back
about?
on the subject of Kickstarters for a second?
Yes, let's do that. No, okay, fine.
Dean said no. Okay, so see you later,
Go.
guys.
Go.
What I find, I mean, you know, Kickstarter's been going for what, about 10 years now?
12,
Longer,
yeah.
I thought. Yeah.
It's like 12 years, 4 months, 9 days, 37 hours. You absolute heathen pleb.
2009, yeah.
Ah, okay, 10 years. What I find nuts about it is, I mean, obviously, you know, there is good stuff on Kickstarter and there is really fucking bad stuff on Kickstarter. But what's nuts is that people are able to do a Kickstarter without having any background in what they're doing. There was a guy and he was like, oh, I really love Turbo Man from the Jingle All the Way movie, and I really want to make a Turbo Man figure. And so
I would
I'm
actually buy that, though.
They did actually make them.
A lot of people bought it. No one got it.
The guy had no idea what he was doing. He just went, I really want a Turbo Man figure. I reckon they'll be about $40 each, and I'll sell 500 of them. No, in fact, I think to start off with, he was like, I'll make 50.
Yeah.
And so he was asking for like something like $1,500 to sculpt, mold, mass produce, and distribute like 40 figures of Turbo Man for like $1,500. At which point, we're like, that's not really going to cover it. And he went, okay, then, well, fine. I'll make 500 of them, all at $40. Off we go. And 500 people who know fuck all about how can you not know that cutting steel molds to make an action figure costs an insane amount of money? And they were like, yeah, 40 quid, fucking sweet, mate. Bam, money down. And he got, you know, like quite a few grand to make the Turbo Man figure, which of course never happened because he'd never made an action figure. He had no idea what he was doing. He hadn't talked to him about it. But Kickstarter were like, yeah, go on, mate, knock yourself out. There you go. There's everyone's money. Have at it.
And
you know,
did anybody get their money back?
No.
Did they fuck?
There's no money back guarantee. Like tomorrow, You know, I could come up with a Kickstarter for whatever.
Right.
You know, but this guy had no idea what he was doing, and a bunch of people threw money at him, and there's no money back guarantee. You know, for every Kickstarter like boss fight, you know, who they get the money they ask for, they get more than the money they ask for, and then smash it out the park, and they make beautiful action figures, and they deliver more than they're asked for. You know, you get other people like this Turbo Man
Just don't know
guy.
anything.
Turbo Man guy thing.
Yeah, the Turbo guy.
So why do you guys think Todd actually did a Kickstarter as well? Considering the amount of money he has anyway, and so
Because he didn't use his own money.
yeah, this is very true.
It's so like why did Atari do a Kickstarter to launch a new console? Like, why did Todd do a Kickstarter for? Honestly, I think if I was running Kickstarter, I would ban large companies from using my platform because it's a piss take, and it's doing the one thing that you're not meant to be able to allow to happen in a free market, which is put all of the risk on the buyers and none of the risk on the people that are developing the projects. I am a super backer on Kickstarter, so I back a lot of campaigns over the last 10 years, and yeah, so I've backed something like 170 over 10 years. Yeah,
dude, I backed one thing on Kickstarter.
I've done a lot.
Spawn, and I regret it.
Well, see, this is it, right? For every campaign I back that works and is good, another one of the campaigns I back is a complete waste of time. But I understand that, or at least the ethos of Kickstarter when it began, is you're putting your faith and your financial support behind somebody else potentially making a company.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, having the freedom to become their own boss and finally getting a dream that they've had, you know, to come true.
Yeah.
And that to me is what Kickstarter should be. And that is why people like Todd and Atari and Sega should not be allowed to use them.
Agree. So, for example, when you look at other crowdfunded campaigns, you had HasLab with the Sentinel. Like, okay, fair enough. That is a crowd-funded project, but it is completely done on Hasbro's side. Yeah. They're not hogging a platform. They're not monopolizing all of the attention or marketing towards it. They are using their own platform. And I think it's a really good idea from Hasbro in that case, because you know what, it's a huge product. I can understand, like, realistically, if you look at the size of that thing, there is no way that they would ever mass produce 10,000 units for the free markets. It would be a massive risk. We can all understand that. So doing it in a crowd-funded capacity, excellent, great, makes a lot of sense. And actually, you're doing exactly the same, the exact limit of figures. There's not going to be any more, which kind of generates more attention. Great, excellent. So once you get it, you know it'll only go up in value if you intend on reselling.
But see, okay, so I would suggest at this point that isn't crowdfunding. That's taking pre-orders.
Interesting. Yeah. Kind of. I agree with you.
Yeah.
After it hits the initial starting goal, I agree with you. But until then, I do think it is a crowdfund.
But I mean, if you think about it, so if here you go. Here's a great example. Next generation consoles, PlayStation 5 is coming this year. We know it's coming out. They know there will be an element of demand for it. So they will produce, let's say, 500,000, and they know without doubt that those will sell. On top of that, they'll do pre-orders, like whilst they're already tinkering away in the background producing them. So at the end of a pre-order campaign, so let's say a month before it's launched, they know that they've got their 500 that are already in development, that are already produced, 500,000. Sorry, they've taken pre-orders for 1 million, so they now know that their back kind of stream needs to up or reduce its production speeds and times,
of course,
as it happens. but they were never in doubt that they would sell a certain number of these. So Hasbro was never in doubt they would sell a certain number of Sentinels. They've already got the tooling in place, and they've got the production and the money behind them to make everything they need to develop it. So
True.
I can understand what you mean, but I think it's kind of crowdfund light, like, because they could just make 100 and do them as con exclusives.
Yeah.
I fully get what you're saying. They have the funding, they have the capacity, they have the planning in place. It's less crowdfunding and it's more interest garnering, right?
Although from my point of view, I think they've done it exactly the right. And I'm very, very rarely say anything nice about Hasbro, but they've definitely done it right this time. I think it's a good way of doing business.
I think so too. I mean, they've so far I think they've had 4 projects, and I think only 5 with 1 failed. I think, or maybe 4 and 1 failed.
What, on the sand barge, sail barge.
Yeah, Sentinel.
Sentinel.
There was another one I can't remember,
Monster,
and there was the Cookie Monster, which just
failed.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, to be fair, there's already
so 4
shit ton of figures of the Cookie Monster out there.
I didn't understand why they did it, and even from a demand perspective, I mean, I'm not really in that market, right? I mean, shit, my daughter would love one. She'd be like, "Daddy, fund that shit." I'm like, eh.
Like, how much is it? Oh, I don't love you that.
$20. $20.
Oh, you in my day? In my day.